Hi, it's Trent from Speak2Read. I've got a new blog post up on my blog at speak2read.ca. Slide over there and check it out. This blog post is educating parents about some things to be aware of. You know, we might call them pitfalls or they're just things to be aware of. What I think is important for parents is that they become critical consumers. So there's a lot of products out there that you can buy. And as parents and looking to have your child find the right program, you really have to get yourself educated. So here's some of the things that we're looking at. There is a program out there that people can get trained in, and it works on sounds. So they believe that getting the sound system organized and having kids aware of sounds and being able to operate on sounds prior to introducing letters is the way to go. And this isn't a bad program, and it's going to work for some kids. However, what I see often happens is that people go out and they invest a few $100s, maybe even a couple of $1,000s. They get trained in this program, they buy the program, and now they want to administer that program. And so when the only tool you have is a hammer, everything starts to look like a nail. And they start to think that this approach works for every child. And it doesn't. It just doesn't. And the other thing that I think is very important to know is that often the people who are acquiring these programs or getting trained, maybe they're retired teachers. And so they have a lot of experience in educating kids, and they can understand the methodologies and the instruction. But if you have a program that's going to work on organizing the sound system, before you know if that program is right for a kid, you should probably do some assessment of that kid's sound system. And if you're a teacher, you're not qualified. You're not qualified as a speech-language pathologist or a psychologist to go and administer some of the standardized assessments and tools, which is what is required to figure out what a child's learning profile is to then figure out what is the right intervention. So again, you end up thinking that your program works for all kids and you haven't done the assessment to know if it's actually the right program. So it's something to be really conscious of. A program that just works on sounds and doesn't introduce letters is not going to be appropriate for a child who's in grade 3 or grade 4, or a child with dyslexia who's been diagnosed or with a learning disability. Those kids do need to get their sound systems organized, but they need to have their sound system organized in conjunction with learning and acquiring letter-sound correspondence and learning about letter patterns. Otherwise, you're just addressing one portion of the brain, but that portion of the brain is not talking to any of the other portions of the brain, such as the visual processing center or the language and meaning processing center. So it's going to be inefficient. And people look at these programs and they'll say, well, we're seeing improvement. Well, if you sit a kid down for a couple hours a week and you teach them something, they're going to learn something. So you are going to see gains. You're going to see them learning. You're going to see their skills shifting and moving forward. But the thing is, it's not optimized. They're moving forward at a slower rate than is necessary. And while they're learning some skills that are going to work for some words or some literacy tasks, they're not learning the whole spectrum of reading, writing, spelling, and comprehending and communicating. So it's inefficient. It's maybe short-sighted. And sometimes it's just downright impractical or maybe even unethical. I think to move into intervention without a complete assessment on a child, you're not informed. You're uninformed. So these are the kinds of things that I'm writing about on my blog. It's just, and it's not to be critical of what anyone else out there is doing, because these programs aren't inherently bad and there can be value. However, it's to have parents become critical consumers and to get educated. And ultimately, I always say, if you're unsure or if you're confused, call me. I offer a free consultation. We'll talk through how kids learn, how your child specifically learns. We'll talk through what is happening in their life, in their programming, where it's appropriate and where it's not. And ultimately, I often refer parents out to other programs and to other clinicians or other places when it's not a fit for what I'm up to. It's not what I'm about. It's providing education and getting parents educated. So contact me if you want to have a free consultation and talk about how your child's learning, talk about how kids learn generally, to learn, to read, write, communicate. Let's get together. All right, thanks, and have a great day.